My name is Jeff Eberhard. I'm the Supportive Services Manager here at Clare Midtown. I think the way that I would consider the work that I do here is to really be a consistent presence, to be available to folks, to meet them in the moment that they need somebody to be with them.
Is there some hesitation about asking me to help you with this?
We know that folks living with HIV who are homeless have a harder time accessing medical care, and therefore their viral loads are generally considered detectable because they don't have easy access to the medications, to the other support that they need to maintain their physical health. I see my role and the role of the other Clare Housing staff as providing that consistent, compassionate environment where relationships can happen. When we started to realize that COVID-19 was going to be an issue in Minnesota, we put into place strategies that were going to help us to mitigate the risk that we knew was happening around us. It was a real challenge, and it has been very difficult as the months have gone on to realize that this is now the way that our work environment is going to be. For our staff, it's been difficult to come to work and know that you are going to be behind a surgical mask for your shift, and to maybe have to wear more protective equipment if you're having to provide one-on-one care with somebody. There has been a lot of fear and concern about contracting COVID. I think the biggest challenge that our folks have experienced is an increased sense of isolation, of loneliness. One of the things that we had to put into place pretty early on was that we were not allowing guests into our buildings, and that has been very difficult for most of our folks. I think it was a concern early on that I was not going to be able to make the same kind of connections with folks, either through phone calls or through Zoom technology or some other kind of video technology. I've been actually very surprised that the connections have been able to be developed and maintained in spite of the efforts that we had to put into place. When I had heard about George Floyd being murdered by police, I knew that it was going to have an impact on all of us. Here at Midtown, we're a mile or mile and a half from where that happened with George Floyd. At that point, I don't think that we could have imagined that it was going to grow to the level that it did. 2 blocks away, the police station was burning, the Target was burning, the Cub Foods was burning, the AutoZone was burning. We didn't know what was coming next. We needed to evacuate the building. I had told my leadership team that I would be the last person to leave, and there was one person left in the building that was going to be packing some things up. And so I was at the front desk, and I was able to see a couple of young men sitting out in front of the building. And so I went out and offered them some water. They had obviously been a part of the protests, and they were just taking a minute to rest and wash their face. And so I just wished them well and went back inside. A couple of minutes later, I saw them in the front entrance of our building, and it was obvious that they were facing east and taking a minute to pray. I went out there and I said, listen, I saw that you were in here, and I felt like I was invading something that I shouldn't have been watching, but I just wanted to come out and acknowledge that what I just witnessed gave me a great sense of peace. So I told them that this was affordable housing, and that we didn't have anybody in the building for the weekend, and I just asked them, if this needs to be a safe place for you for the weekend, that's fine, but just please tell other people that this is also a safe place for them, and keep an eye out on our building for us. Seeing them take a break from something that obviously meant a lot to them to do something that was central and core to their being, my initial thought was, maybe the world is going to be okay after all. When we made the decision on Sunday that we were going to move people home on Monday, what I was most struck by after talking to this group of folks is that every single one of them said thank you. Every single one of them showed gratitude. Robert, I'm glad that things worked out, and we're glad that you're home. A majority of the folks that we serve with Clare Housing here at Midtown, They've been through trauma after trauma after trauma after trauma, and now they've lived through yet another trauma in their neighborhood. The resiliency, the courage, the tenacity, the bravery